everybody, welcome back to StabilityWOD, day 19. Today we're moving from the head and neck to one of my favorite parts of the body, the feet. So I realize there's a ton more to talk about with regard to the neck and the shoulders and how that affects the function of the arms. I'm going to come back to that, but I feel like the feet are just as foundational as the lumbar spine and the cervical spine in that they have a massive impact on determining the way we move. So I want to finish setting the stage by talking about the feet, introducing the feet and how they work. Then we can explore some of these other stability issues, and most importantly, I want to be able to explore how they're all connected. So once we have an understanding of the lumbar spine, the cervical spine, and the feet, I think we can start talking about this in a more holistic and functional way. Now, one of the reasons I love the feet is because it contains 1/4 of the bones in our body. It has 26 bones, over 30 joints, and more than 100 muscles, tendons, and ligaments. Now, that allows the feet to do amazing things. They're extremely robust, they're extremely durable, and they allow us to adapt to our environment and travel over the ground in such an incredible way. In fact, I was just in Iceland and I visited an art exhibit where they were profiling the evolution of this prosthetic foot that this company called, and I'm going to mispronounce it, Ossur, O-S-S-U-R, has been developing over time. The complexity of this carbon fiber foot and how it's evolved is remarkable, and while it can do incredible things, it still falls short of the natural human foot. So maybe now you have some mad appreciation for the foot and what it can do, and I hope to give you more understanding about that over time. But first, I want to talk about some of these bones in the feet. We have bones in our toes. These are called the phalanges. We also have metatarsals, which cut across this way, that are individual bones. Each toe has its own bone. We also have the midfoot, which is a strip of slightly larger bones that come across this way, followed by the heel, the calcaneus, which maybe many of you know. It's where the Achilles tendon attaches, followed by the talus, which is more up in the hinge of the ankle. Now we'll talk about anatomy in more detail as time goes on, but today I want to discuss the topic of pronation and supination. A lot of people know the word pronation. If you shop for running shoes, you'll often be told that pronation is bad and it's something to be avoided and something that we should try to control as much as possible. The reality is pronation and supination are very important parts of the gait cycle, whether we're walking or running, and they actually help us absorb shock in the case of pronation, or to help us create a rigid lever when we're supinated, which allows us to propel forward. So we actually go through cycles of pronation and supination during our running. Just like other body parts, our foot has a neutral posture. And so today we're going to start talking about neutral before tomorrow exploring the difference between pronation and supination, how you can understand it, how you can work with it, and how it fits into different sports. Now, because this is called the StabilityWOD, I want to explore this in the context of stability. My foot currently is pronated. I have a collapsed arch, very flat. My midfoot bones have rolled towards the inside. My foot is relatively unlocked in this position, ready to absorb shock. It's towards the end of its range of movement in this direction, however, which means that it's a bit far from its neutral position. Now I'm going to supinate. My arch has come back up. My midfoot bones have rolled up and out. And now I'm in a more rigid position where I'm ready for propulsion. There are many people who have high arch feet that are very strong in that position. There are also people with high arch foot that are somewhat unstable in that position. Similarly, there are people with pronated feet who are very strong, stable in that position, and they can run fast, for instance, in that position. But there are other people who are excessively flexible and relatively unstable in that position. What I want you to learn today is that somewhere in between those two extremes, regardless of your foot type, is your neutral position. And it's usually the point where you feel like there's a little bit of muscle work to stay in that position. I feel it in my arch, I feel it in my shin, I feel it coming up my medial ankle, and I feel like it's taking me a little work to find this position, even though right now I'm sitting down in a chair. And this is a great place to start exploring this neutral position. Now, it's important to know that as I raise my arch, my big toe, this would be my bunion, the base of my first metatarsal, doesn't come up off the ground. So I have to be able to keep the bunion part of my foot, the base of the big toe, in contact with the ground as I roll my foot up. It's sort of like trying to grip the floor with your palm by raising your arch and contracting the muscles in the bottom of your foot. Now you'll see that the distance from my heel to my base of my big toe actually decreases as I raise my arch. My foot gets shorter, it takes on more of a curved appearance, kind of curves inward like this, and it does take quite a bit of muscle activity to do that. The other common fault I see is people will curl their toes and try to raise their arch by curling their toes. You see how that lifts the ball of my foot off the ground? What I want is relaxed toes. I want the ball of the foot connected to the floor as well as the heel, and I want the midfoot to raise up and out. Now that takes a little bit of coordination, a little bit of practice, but sitting in a chair, when you get it, you'll feel a lot of muscle activity in here, a lot of coordination to be able to make this, to bring your foot into this slightly supinated neutral position. Now I'm going to stand up, and I can explore this in standing. There's pronated. There's my highest supinated, most stable position, and I'm going to find somewhere in the middle, maybe closer to supination in my case, because I tend to be a little loosey-goosey in pronation, and that's where I'm going to practice staying. Once I can do it in standing on both feet, I can even start squatting, trying to maintain that position with my foot as I squat. So if you're struggling with this a bit, it's totally normal. This is a very hard thing to teach. I find that in the clinic I have to get my hands on people's feet. I have to cue them into the right position. And when it clicks, it really clicks. So take your time exploring this seated, then standing. You can do it with your shoes on. You can do it while you're waiting in line at the grocery store. Just try to remember that there are a lot of little details to mind when you're first learning this. We're going to integrate this and pattern it in to some movements, so I'll reinforce this concept over the next few days. Thanks again for watching today. I hope you'll take a second to subscribe and share with your friends. I very much look forward to seeing you back tomorrow. Thank you for tuning in.